Are back. School is over here in Taiwan, which means if you've been following us for a few years, it's 5 years since we've been doing this show, that we're gonna lose Adam in about a month or so, at least streaming wise, but we'll talk about that towards the end of the show. I'll let Adam sort of explain what's happening on the streaming side of the things. On the regular show today, we're talking about Might Rare or Mighty Rare?
Might Rare.
Might Rare. Also talking about the EU's a possible law, which would mean that game developers cannot disable games. They have to give you an option to play games offline. Also, the game Mecha Break, which I've seen a lot of ads about. We're going to be filming 2 shorts today, reacting to a comment about Stellar Blade, and answering the question, top-rated games you were disappointed by. So if you have any suggestions, please leave them down in the comments. On my side of the show, we're talking about a game, Strange Horticulture, Tamagotchi Plaza, which I totally forgot Tamagotchi is still a thing, and apparently there are a whole bunch of toys, and the game Paper Mario, the 1,000-Year Door for the Switch or the Switch 2. We'll talk about things that people are searching for there. But Adam, tell me about this game, Might Rare.
All right, so it's weird how sometimes you're just kind of doing one thing and life just seems to line up. What happened was I was talking to somebody about Gravity Rush a long time ago. Sorry. Talking to somebody about Gravity Rush a long time ago, and that just made me want to look and see if I could find a game like Gravity Rush, because you don't see too many. And I found this game, Might Rare. Well, it was in development and whatnot, so then I was like, all right, I'll just add this to my wish list and go about my merry way. Months and months and months later, I'm just sitting there one day and I'm like, I remember there was a game that was like Gravity Rush. I wonder how that's doing. So I check it out on Steam, and by some strange coincidence, literally the next day, they are starting a playtest. So it was just kind of like, wow, why did I think about this now? Suspicious. So anyway, Might Rare is a game that, again, as I said, is clearly inspired by Gravity Rush. It's not exactly the same. And right now, you can do a playtest for it. So basically the idea is that you control the main character. I believe her name is Rhea. We don't have too much details right now. It's just basically what information is on the Steam page. But there's a lot of aerial combat. You're flying around. You're doing kind of the same kind of dive kick. They have some combos and stuff like that. But right now, basically, the idea is, since the game is in development, they're doing this playtest, and people can play it and comment and leave those comments, and then they can use that to improve the game. So this is made by, hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, 𝙂𝙪, W-A-Z-E-N. They are the developers of Assault Spy, and it is going to be published by 505 Games, which I'm sure you've heard of because they've published tons and tons and tons of games. So the hook of the game, okay, yeah, it does have their name. Join schoolgirl superhero Rhea and her manager Neo as they embark on their journey as hero content creators, fighting monstrous beings that emerge daily from another dimension. So basically, you're a content creator. If you're playing it, you'll see that you're kind of flying around fighting these enemies, and there's this little girl kind of hovering around you with a camera, and in the upper right hand corner of the screen, it'll show you kind of what she's recording, so you can kind of see these fun angles of the fight and whatnot. As I said before, combat is very Gravity Rush like. You're flying through the air. You're doing these like dive kick things. So an enemy's way off, and you just go flying through the air and slam into them. You can kick them down into the ground and do kind of a slam that way. You get a triple jump. And then you can also get like these kind of infinite dodges. So you can kind of jump up in the air and then just kind of dodge. You also have things like wall running. So if you're sprinting and you hit a wall, you'll run straight up the wall. If you've played games like, I think it was DC Online has something like that. If you're the Flash type characters, we can run up and down walls and whatnot. So you have that. So it's all very fast paced. It's all very kind of all over the place. Very flashy. Currently in the playtest, you can play, there's a test level, which is basically just like a standard level. You run through, you defeat some enemies, you get from point A to point B, and then the second one is actually a boss fight, so you can test out what a boss fight's going to feel like. And then they also have a testing room where you can just kind of like test your skills and work on your combos and stuff like that. So they advertise that when it comes out, there's going to be 3 weapon types and various combos. Right now, you really only have the 1 attack type. There's going to be 38 stages with 24 enemy types, and a lot of them do resemble the Nevi from Gravity Rush. They have like this little bubble thing for a head, and then these little tendrils that kind of come off of them, and you smash them in the head and they explode. And so, yeah, in the playtest, you can tell it's very, very early. It's got some good bones. If you were, if you're looking for that kind of feel, you're gonna get that kind of feel out of it. But I did have some trouble. There was no controller support, at least not for me. I use a DS5, and so it said that there is controller support, but I could not get my controller to work. And also in game, you can switch it between the Xbox layout and the PS layout. So clearly there will be support. I guess it's just not there yet, or for whatever reason it wasn't recognizing mine. Certain commands didn't seem to exist. If you go into the game, you can go into like the thing where it says you can set up your control options, and it says, oh, set this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this, this for this. But when I was in the boss fight, I would be low on life, and then it would be like dinging, like you need to heal, you need to heal. And it would show me a D-pad with the down button, and I'm like, I don't understand. I'm using keyboard because my controller doesn't work. Where's the D-pad button? But it looks like maybe I had to press down on the arrow key, which seems like a weird place to have it, because that's nowhere close to either hand, either on the mouse or WASD. So that's a really odd place to put a button. But yeah, and also in the game, it did not tell you where the heal button was. You have to actually go to the community page on Steam, and on the community page they have a list of all the combos, and they have a list of all the commands. Those are not in game, so I recommend reading the community page if you want to know how to do things. And there's no tutorial, so it doesn't really teach you how to do much. It's just those 2 levels for testing. But yeah, so far it looks like it's on a good path. It does have quite a ways to go. It has not been announced yet, or the release date has not been announced yet. But yeah, I would highly recommend you go to their Steam page. You can submit for the request to be part of the playtest. I did that. I got my acceptance within about 24 hours, and then I was able to play it. And I highly recommend it simply because, A, maybe this is a game you'd be into, and you can check it out, and you can say, hey, yeah, that looks interesting, or maybe say like, nah, maybe skip this one. But either way, the more feedback they get, the better the game's going to be in the end. So the more people that are able to test it out, the more feedback they can get. And then also just to get some recognition, so this isn't a game that just kind of fades away, just get the word out there and put this on a few people's radar. So that's why I wanted to talk about this today.
Looks really cool. As you're talking about it, I mean, I was doing my usual work stuff as usual, and then it sounds like more and more interesting, especially you mentioned the Flash running up and down buildings. I'm like, okay, that raised a few eyebrows in my mind. So I had to look at them like, okay, very, very cool. And I guess this also explains why we're talking about demos and playtests earlier this week. So you did this. I again, I'm still of the mind that I'd rather spend that hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, or that would be 3 days for me, playing something I want to finish. But it still looks cool, and this is definitely going on my wish list. And I totally agree with what you said, right? Wish lists and Steam page views and all that sort of stuff is really, really important to Steam to say, hey, this is going to be a big game. We need to put more money behind it, or maybe we need to give the developer a little bit of a cut or something like that, or give them a discount to promote it on the main Steam page. So totally agree that if you like the look of this and you don't have money to put in it, there are lots of sort of smaller actions. Following them on social media, for example, is also another great option, that the developer can go and tell their publisher, look, we've gained 20,000 Instagram followers. We need more support. Give us a little bit more money, that sort of stuff. So there are loads of ways to support a game, even if you don't have money to buy it just yet. Okay, and on that side of the show, so today my first story is going to be about a game called Strange Horticulture. So Strange Horticulture, I mean, the name sounds a little bit weird, right? And a little complicated. What if solving a mystery meant decoding plants and not puzzles? Strange Horticulture might be just the most relaxing detective game you've ever played. So I actually played this on PC or played this on Switch. I actually cannot remember. I might have it for both platforms. But basically, you run a quaint plant shop in a rainy Victorian town, helping customers while unraveling a dark and ancient mystery through botany. So the very first thing that caught my game is just the overall art style. I loved like the kind of hand-drawn visuals. It reminds me of Near Mage in a way, where it caught my eyes. And I played this for an hour, but this is one of those games where if you're a moody gamer like I am, you're like, you need to be in the right frame of mind to play this because there are details, there is information to remember, there is a story to follow. It is not as story intensive as, say, some of the other games like Near Mage, but there is definitely story elements. So instead of fighting monsters, you identify plans to help customers and piece together clues to a larger mystery. So this is one of those games where definitely playing on the PC would be good, especially with, I guess last year or 2 years ago, Steam had the update where now you have a Steam notebook attached to per game, and you can like Alt-Shift-Tab and click on the notebook icon. And you can write notes while you're actually playing the game, which I know sounds kind of crazy to some of you guys, but very, very useful for this kind of game, so that you can make notes, and it just makes it easy instead of having to remember everything or Alt-tabbing and opening up a notepad document. Again, sometimes Windows doesn't play well with Alt-tabbing, but that Steam overlay definitely works much better. The game is very gothic, also cozy in a way, in the way the shop looks with the plants and that sort of stuff. So you can sort of think of it as Lovecraftian meets gardening. Yes, which sounds very weird saying that out of my mouth. It has multiple choices. Again, I think I only play this for an hour or 2 hours, so I definitely did not get to a point where I can sort of see the things sort of branching off. But I did play enough to sort of see, like, yes, the way you solve certain customers' problems can definitely come back to haunt you later on, maybe 3, 4, 5 hours down the line. So, and it sort of explains like, yeah, who you help, what plans you use can drastically alter the outcome. So you physically sort, label, and test plans, creating an immersive and tactile game loop. So these are the same guys who made the game Potion Brewing or Crafting Brewing, which is a game I loved. And I played, I think, 12, 13, 14 hours of this game, which is a very relaxing potion brewing game. So you can definitely see this game was the start of the game that I played a lot more of. Sorry, my voice is a little bit hoarse after not sleeping well. So it's definitely an underrated gem. Something you should definitely try out. And again, this game is on Steam on sale until, is it this week when the Steam sale ends? I don't think it's this week. I think the Steam sale ends next week. So check it out if you like. It is pretty cheap if I'm not mistaken. Let me check the price right now. It is. I'm using freaking Edge to Google, so I don't know. But anyway, it's pretty cheap. Love the game a lot. It's a game I want to finish at some point. Whether I have time to do it is another story. But Strange Horticulture, take advantage of it while you can. Let me know if you played it down in the comments.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I always like any kind of crafting mechanic. So, you know, either you're mixing potions or you're crossbreeding plants, or, you know, just trying to see like, what can I unlock here? What strange and bizarre creations can I create?
$4 at the moment, so pretty cheap. Hey, does PlayStation have a summer sale?
Yeah, they do.
Has it started, or?
Yeah, I think it started a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so it's longer than the typical Steam summer sale period.
I don't know if it's longer. It starts earlier.
Oh, because you said a couple of weeks. That would.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like a week or
10
two.
days.
You know, not like a super long time, but.
Okay. So okay, if it's 2 weeks, that's still longer. Steam sales are not longer than 10 days.
Okay, yeah, the summer thing, it's not up now. It says mid-year deals.
Oh, got
They
it.
switched it. It might have just been like as summer starts, they're just like, okay, summer, or like, you know, getting into summer.
Are you gonna pick up anything? Because I picked up the RoboCop game, and I picked up one other thing. I can't even remember what it was. But yeah, you can pick up anything in the summer sale for
Nothing on my wish list seems to be on sale, except for maybe Tactics Ogre, and yeah, that's about it. On the Steam sale, there were quite a few games on my Steam wish list that were on sale. I was thinking of getting Resist times 1000. But we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
Also, Forever, was it Forever? Not Forever Skies, not that one. There's another game. There are a couple of games on the Steam sale, but yeah, we'll see, because I got Death Stranding to keep me busy right now. I don't need to be picking up new games for a while.
Hey, did you manage to play Death Stranding on the weekend?
I've played a little bit. I've played maybe 5 or 6 hours. Not very
That's not a
far.
little bit for a weekend.
No, well, I mean, no, that's since last Thursday. So,
Oh, okay, okay.
um, I'm in Australia. I just got to Australia, so but I
Gonna
haven't
have
seen
to
any
pull us in
koalas
a
yet.
little bit towards the end. Actually, that actually might make a good short. Actually, is initial impressions of Death Stranding 2. I'm gonna have to strike. Oh, maybe not strike one of those Reddit questions. This might actually overtake something else. I mean, since we're talking about it, give us your initial impressions in under a minute, if you can, of Death Stranding 2.
I'm not very far. I just got to Australia. Uh, so far it seems very much like the original Death Stranding. I mean, I've mostly just been doing porting stuff, connecting people to the Chiral network. Um, that's basically been it. I hasn't not too much has changed. I have unlocked my first vehicle. That made life so much easier. I had stolen a vehicle earlier. That made life a little bit easier, but it ran out of batteries, so I had to abandon it. But yeah, really enjoying it. If you enjoyed the first game, you're gonna enjoy the second game. It's basically so far mostly the same. So
Does it look better than the first game?
it's been a while since I played the first game, so I don't have a side by side comparison. Um, it's hard to say. Like it's like one of those things where we go back and we play games from our youth, and we're like at the time we're like this looked so good, and then you look at it now, like maybe the original Tomb Raider, and you're like this looked great. Or Tomb Raider 2 or Tomb Raider 3, maybe not the first Tomb Raider, that was really pointy, but maybe Tomb Raider 2 or Tomb Raider 3, and you're like, oh yeah, this looked great, and you go back and look at it now and you're like, oh my god, these textures on the walls are so basic, and oh my gosh, this is so, or yeah, yes, or like GoldenEye, we thought it looked great, and you go back and you're like, oh no, the faces are just flat, with an image slapped onto the front like a mask. So in your mind you typically remember things better than what they were. So to me, it looks the same, but if I saw it side by side, I might say like, oh yeah, no, it's definitely better. But just going off of memory, it's exactly how I remember it. So, but it does look great.
Okay, speaking of things that might possibly be great in the EU, tell us about what they are potentially doing to sort of better protect consumers.
Yeah, so there's an initiative in the EU. So if you're in the EU, you can join it. I cannot. I am not an EU citizen. Korean, I'm pretty sure, is not EU citizens either, right? Despite living in Ireland for quite some time. So, but there is an initiative, and it's called the, let me get the name right, European Citizens Initiative Online Collection System. So basically what this is doing is it would require publishers that either sell or license games to leave these games in a functional or playable state when they abandon the game. So for example, if you had a game that was like Overwatch 1 or something like that, you can't just take the game down if somebody's paid for, especially if somebody's paid for it. You would have to leave it in some sort of state where they could play it on their own, either excuse me, either through bot matches or maybe some like local co-op, or maybe even peer-to-peer matchmaking, where you can make with your friends, but there's no servers or something like that. But you would have to leave a game in some sort of state where even when you stop supporting the game or you don't even sell the game, people who already own it can still have access to it. So basically what it's doing is it's going to disallow, or it's trying to disallow publishers from remotely disabling a game before providing reasonable means to continue functioning. So I mean, in some cases there might be a game where, like for instance, maybe some big MMO or something like that, or a game that's based entirely on trading with other people, and it's like, well, if you can't trade with other people, you can't play the game or something like that. In some cases there might be, it might not be possible to do, but if it is possible to do, this would require people to do it. What it would not require publishers to do is it would not require them to give up ownership of these games, or any of the intellectual rights associated with the games or monetization rights. And they would require them to provide resources for said video game if it is discontinued. So basically what it's saying is, if you make a game and you decide that you're going to discontinue the game, you have to make it available for people that have already purchased it to continue playing it in some way. Maybe it doesn't have to have all the functionality, like the online functionality, but there has to be some way for people who've bought the game to still be able, or purchase the game, to to still be able to have access to it and play it in some way. But you don't have to give up your rights to the game. You still own the IP. If somebody were to say, take that game, hack it, create something else with it, and put it on Steam, you could still, take them to court over that. You still own all the assets. You just need to give people access. So that's basically what they're trying to do. Now, this began back on June 19th in 2024, so it's been up for a while, but it ends this month. So it ends on July 31st, 2025, so it's going to be ending at the end of the month. They're looking to get about 1 million signatories. They currently have 667,000, a little bit more than that, as of yesterday when I checked. So they're about 67% of the way there with, they've had a whole year. This is in the last month. So we're getting to the end. So hopefully we can get that last 33%. And then, hopefully we'll be able to get some attention to this, because even if it's only for the EU and it doesn't benefit people in other markets like Canada or the US or Asia, typically when a developer is required to create a game, it's kind of a hassle to create 2 versions of a game, right? So they usually just create one. I mean, this is kind of the same sort of thing with what was going on with batteries, I think, a while back, where if you have a certain requirement, why would I manufacture 2 different things when I can just manufacture one and then just release that to both markets? So even if you're not an EU citizen, if this passes, it could still benefit people in other markets as well. So if you have friends who are in the EU or who have EU citizenship, bring this to their attention, maybe mention it. And and if you can sign it, go ahead. And if they can sign it, maybe get them to do it. Of course, don't just sign it, read it first, of course, but take a look at it is what I should say. Take a look at this and consider signing it. Yeah.
Sounds very good, very interesting. I was trying to think of games that have done this in the past, or
Battleborn.
like, huh?
Battleborn immediately comes to mind.
Ah, yes, that is one. Even games that I've played or I own that were like, okay, we're going offline, but there's gonna be an offline mode. And there's one that was literally this year that they switched from like an online MMO to a single player ARPG game. Can't even think of that, but I think that's always a good thing to be consumer friendly. And I'm just set your company up for the future. Like, okay, if we do want to release the game, consumers will remember that, like, yes, while we failed in this online version of this game, but we're still gonna, we still help out you guys out, so you can still own and play this game in perpetuity. So that's nice. And you mentioned the EU part, like, yes, this does tend to affect people. Think of GDPR, right? Which is a thing at the bottom of pages everywhere in the world, despite it just being for the EU. Like, hey, do you accept the cookies? Do you accept this privacy statement, right? This came from an EU ruling where instead of saying, okay, we're just going to do this with the 340 million people in the EU, it's just going to be everywhere in the world, as a basic thing. Like, yes, if you're on this website, you have to accept we're going to track you with cookies, or we're going to track this. Then if you don't accept, you don't accept, right? So yeah, sounds amazing. Okay, and moving on to my second story. So for my second story, this is a game that, again, was on Google Trends, so we have to talk about it. A game, Tamagotchi Plaza. And I did not know much. I should say, I remember Tamagotchis as a kid. I remember wanting them because, again, they were all the rage. But again, living in Africa, this is pre-apartheid, pre-1994, when Nelson Mandela became president. South Africa was under embargo for a bunch of stuff, so it was very difficult to get Tamagotchis or Nintendos or that sort of stuff. We got basic computing things, basic TV stuff. I think cell phones only came, cell phones were still around in the 80s. But I guess mainstream stuff only came like after Nelson Mandela became president. And I saw this on the Switch. I'm like, Tamagotchi Plaza. Okay, this looks interesting. So what happens when your digital pet grows up and gets a job? Tamagotchi Plaza brings nostalgia to life in the most adorable way. So in this game, you're a resident of Tamagotchi Plaza, helping out and interacting with different Tamagotchi characters while customizing your life in town. So while this immediately like hooked me in a sense, it's like, okay, this is gonna be like a Stardew Valley or an Animal Crossing sort of game, and it kind of is, but the main crux of this game is mini games, and so this is, you're sort of thinking like a Mario Party style game, but actually this is only 2 players, and it's couch co-op only. There's no online. So when you're playing mini games, it's literally you and the person next to you. You cannot play with somebody in another country. And the way you sort of progress through the game is you play these mini games, right? And I think I saw the biggest criticism of this was the mini games, where, and again, you go back and listen to previous episodes of Adam playing Final Fantasy VII, one of the Final Fantasy VIIs, and he was like, some of the mini games were good, some of them were pretty bad.
Rebirth.
Okay, Rebirth, there you go. So this is the same thing, but pretty much it's like the game is 20 to 30 hours, something along those lines, right? And after playing the same mini games for 10, 15 hours, you can imagine, especially as an older gamer, and if you're not super into Tamagotchi, you're gonna get bored super quickly. That being said, like, the most interesting part of this game was that I went to the Tamagotchi website. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many different kinds of Tamagotchis now. I saw 5 different models, and they're like color models as well. I was like, okay, cool. So this is a return to the world of Tamagotchis. I didn't realize there was a freaking world of Tamagotchis, but with more activities, customization, and personality. Lots of different people in this actual world for Tamagotchi Plaza, each with their own stories and needs. So again, it's sort of like a quest in a sense, I guess, similar to like a Coral Island or Stardew Valley, or where you're going around talking to people like, hey, can you help me with this? And then you launch into the mini game to solve this problem, right? And then so this, you get to do a little bit of the business side, going back to last week where I talked about bear and breakfast, right? We get to run a shop, build your reputation within the plaza. This is the part that I like about this game. And I have to say, like, I was looking at the physical color Tamagotchis. I'm like, okay, that looks pretty cool. That would totally distract me, so not an option for the moment. So you get to decorate your home, right? Dress your character, and even shape the layout of the plaza. So it's a very gentle, relaxing game. The big crux of the thing I'm saying to you today is, if you're somebody who's curious about Tamagotchi, grew up in the 90s, is that some people suggested other Tamagotchi games. I would go onto Metacritic and research like what is the best Tamagotchi game, or maybe just if you have the time and go buy a physical Tamagotchi, because apparently it's all like super connected now with an app on your phone, and you get to do Tamagotchis that way, which sounds really cool. But this game is full physical price, I should say. It's $60. There is a Switch 2 version of this game, so please keep that in mind. Unlike the next game I'm going to talk about after Adam's next story, which is the 1,000-Year Dwarf by Paper Mario. So definitely, if you have a Switch 2, or if you're like here in Taiwan and we're getting the Switch 2 sometime this month, this might be a game to buy and then wait until you get your Switch 2. But if you play Tamagotchi games, if you know more about this, please let us know down in the comments. I'd love to know. I'm always on the lookout for more cozy, relaxing games. And I can deal with a few mini games, maybe not 15 or 20 hours of them, but let me know. What do you think, Adam?
I never really got into Tamagotchi. I knew a lot of people that had them. I think my sisters even had them. So I kind of played around with them for a little bit, but I never really had them myself. I'm trying to remember exactly when they came out, but I think it was around maybe a little bit earlier than Pokemon, but around the same time. So for me, I was like, oh, okay, I'll just play Pokemon, or later Monster Rancher, something a little more robust when it comes to raising your creatures. But yeah, I knew a lot of people that were into it back then.
And do your parents have some of your older toys and stuff in your house?
Yeah.
Man, you should make sure to sort of take some back with you when you come back next time, and put it on eBay.
On eBay?
Dude, I'm dead serious. Like, depending on the first generation Tamagotchis you have, some of the very first Tamagotchis sell for $200 to $300.
Oh, I don't know if they have any of the old Tamagotchis. Most of them are like, most of the toys are like, we have these plastic dinosaurs that say "Made in Taiwan" on the bottom.
Really?
Yeah, they're like really dense, heavy plastic, and they're about this tall. But yeah, real dense, heavy plastic is kind of like a rubbery, kind of feel to it. And they're these dinosaurs, and we had those, and my dad's, I think he still has like all the old, he has a bunch of old consoles. He has like our old Sega Genesis, and I think he has some Nintendos, and he's picked up, and they still have, I think, our original PlayStation, and yeah, I don't know if even he knew where most of the games for those were, but yeah, I don't know if they have any Tamagotchis. They'd have to do some digging.
Just an idea. Your final story for today, kind of. Tell us more about Mecha Break.
Yeah, so Mecha Break is coming out today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this video, or maybe it came out a couple days ago if you're watching this video late. But it is coming out. It says for my region, it says July 2nd, and I know it originally said July 1st, so I don't know if that has changed for other regions as well, or if it's just kind of a global release. It didn't really seem to have very clear information on that, but definitely coming out at least by tomorrow for everyone, I guess. So anyway, this is going to be on the PC and on the Xbox Series X and S. It will not be on PS5 yet. They are planning to do a PS5 release, but they have no release date as of yet. So if you've been under a rock and you're not sure what Mecha Break is, because it's been doing betas and whatnot for a while now, so a lot of people have played it. But it is a hero shooter, kind of in the same kind of vein as Overwatch. You can do 6v6 or 3v3, but they also now have an extraction mode where you can go out and you can gather resources and you can come back, bring them back and whatnot. I'm not quite sure how extensive, like how hardcore they go into the extraction mode. If like if stuff you bring in and you bring, you're going to lose it, or if it's more like you go in and you look and level up stuff, and if you don't make it out, then you don't get the materials that you've gathered. But once you have something equipped, it's permanently on you. Not quite sure. The webpage does not seem to have a whole lot of information on that, and I'm not sure if that was in the beta or not. I did not get a chance to play the beta. But anyway, in this game, you are playing as giant mechs. So if you're a fan of something like Armored Core or Front Mission or Battletech or that sort of thing, you're going to be used to these kind of large things. Here the mechs are called strikers because in every single game somebody has to have a different name for it. They got to be either ACs or Vanzers or whatever, but here they're going to be called strikers. So you have 5 different types. You have your attacker, which is kind of they're similar to DPS, but they're going to be if you're taking territory, they're designed to take territory. They're jumping in, doing a lot of damage. You have your defender, who's going to be sitting in the territory you already possess and preventing other people from taking it. So they're kind of not quite as mobile, but they're going to be harder to kill. So they're going to be holding areas. You have brawlers, which are going to be engaged in prolonged battles. So I'm guessing the difference here between an attacker and a brawler is an attacker would be your kind of traditional assassin type character, doing a lot of damage up front, but not so much sustained damage, where a brawler is going to be more for sustained damage, keeping the fight longer. They're basically, you go in with your attackers, you attack, brawlers go in and kind of keep the battle there so your attackers can jump out and then jump back in later. You also have your support, which are going to be assisting people, so you can heal or buff or whatever. And so they're going to be, kind of that traditional support role. And then finally, you have your you have your snipers, which are pretty straightforward. They're standing outside the battle and shooting in. So those are the five types. Once again, attacker, defender, brawler, support, and sniper. And this game is going to feature some heavy customization. Now, if you're looking for Armored Core style customization, no, you're not going to get that. You're not going to be swapping out parts and arms and legs and that sort of thing. But you can pick your striker, which is basically going to be the equivalent of your hero, and you can give them custom paint jobs, so you can paint all the parts of it. So the painting is going to be very similar to Armored Core, so you can basically get whatever colors you want. You're going to be able to equip mods, so you can kind of tweak certain things. So, maybe if you want your, crit rate to go up, or you want energy to recharge faster, or that sort of thing, so you can kind of deck yourself out to kind of fit your playstyle a bit more. And you're going to be able to get some special weapons. It does seem that those are mostly going to be, or entirely going to be, part of the extraction gameplay, the PvPvE. It doesn't seem like that's going to be so much a thing for the hero shooter part. But still, you can equip some certain weapons on it. So, if you want to switch from your, scout rifle to a burst rifle to an assault rifle, you can do that. And the pilot you can actually customize, which is kind of interesting because you're not going to be seeing the pilot through most of the gameplay. When you're not in a match, you can actually walk around your base. And one of the things that I saw that the developer was talking about was you can actually flush the toilets because they wanted you to feel. They didn't want you to feel like you're just playing as this giant mech. They wanted you to feel as you're playing. You're playing as this person in the mech. They wanted you to feel that you are the pilot themselves. So. They tried to add a lot of realisticness to the base, so you can walk around with your pilot. Lots of customization there. Like if you've seen other games like Naraka or Black Desert, that sort of thing, you know, you can go real deep into it. Lots of color customization. You can change their outfits and whatnot. And also, I believe, at least in the beta, the pilots had their own skills as well. So depending on which pilot you select, they will be providing another way to customize your performance in battle. So pilots are going to have their own set of skills. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, if you wanted to check it out, it is entirely free. You can pick it up on Steam or on Xbox. No money down. Have fun with it. Of course, that does mean that it's going to be going with the kind of Apex model or these other kind of live service models where you're going to be paying, you know, maybe you don't pay up front, but if you want to be unlocking these special colors or these special skins or certain designs and whatnot, you're going to have to pay a little bit of extra. So, but yeah, entirely free to check out. So no reason not to. So if you're interested, check out Mecha Break, available July 2nd.
This looks really cool, and as you were talking about it, and I still, like, I think I've told you, I have a fondness for mech games. I mean, MechWarrior, and I think the very first mech game I played was, like, the early 90s, was a game called Shogo, which is awesome. But then I'm like, oh no god, this is only multiplayer, and this is an extraction shooter as well, which is, there is nobody who would play an extraction shooter with me. I mean, besides my younger brother, he'd be okay, but that's just not on the cards for us. So I wish this had like some sort of PvE, like a Warframe sort of system as well. Like, hey, yeah, do these single player missions. That would be cool. I did see some stuff about the monetization of this being particularly egregious. Did you read anything about that?
I kind of read about it in some of the early betas, but I haven't really seen people talking about it so much recently.
Do you think they fixed it? Like, what were the issues initially?
No, I think because if I remember correctly, this is made by a Chinese developer, right?
Oh, okay.
I believe so. I'll have to double check that, but let me just double check who is the developer. Mecha Break developer.
I was literally Googling this. I shouldn't have closed the window.
Kingsoft. Subsidiary of Amazing Season Games. Yep. Yeah, this is a Chinese game. And if you're familiar with the way they do monetization there, a lot of games do not have upfront, you know, look at Genshin Impact, look at Zenless Zone Zero, look at Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, I believe, is kind of the same boat. That's kind of the model, is that you're not asking for money up front. You know, you release this free-to-play game, and you can play it entirely free. But there is a lot of monetization. And yeah, depending on how successful the game is, the more money they can ask for. So that's how they make their money. So I would not expect it to get much better. Maybe a little bit better if the game is not performing well and people come in and they kind of complain about prices and whatnot. But if people are not, if the game is successful, then I see them having little incentive to adjust that.
Wow. So regarding the monetization, right? So they mentioned, this is from PC Gamer, multiple currencies as well as loot boxes are present as it enters another open beta. Free-to-play game. Customization will be its main source of monetization. Gacha mechanics, season pass, and season pass FOMO, of course. What else did they say? Right. Capped battle pass experience, a new striker in battle pass. I don't know what that means, but
that means that you're going to be able to unlock new heroes.
Ah, okay, got it. So yeah, I mean, this also is like something I'm thinking about stopping Marvel Snap and all sort of like multiplayer related games recently, which is why this sort of rings home for me in a bit. Okay, for my last story today, we're going to talk about Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So, why this is brand? I mean, this is not a new game, right? This came out last year. Uh, I guess why a lot of people are searching for it is basically right, like when the Switch 2 came out a week ago or 2 weeks ago. That a lot of people were like, oh my god, right? This is a prime franchise. This is a Mario franchise, right? And I saw a stat someone posted on Reddit that the most successful franchise of franchises for Nintendo, with Mario being number one with 893 million units sold of Mario games, and number two being Pokemon with something like 480 something million units of Pokemon games sold. So people are like, yes, where is the Switch 2 version of this game? And unfortunately, there is not a Switch 2 version of this game. That doesn't mean that you can't buy it and play it on your Switch 2, right? So you can buy it and you can play it on your Switch 2. The thing that it's not going to take advantage of is it's not going to take advantage of, you know, the 4K 60 when you have your Switch dock. It's not going to take advantage of the screen and the HDR and that sort of stuff. But if you are looking for a turn-based RPG game, again, I'm looking for this. I just haven't seen this game cheap enough where that I could actually buy it, and I haven't. Now that I have a new PC that I actually like and it doesn't cause problems, I'm doing a lot more PC gaming. So me getting back to playing on a Switch is another story altogether. So what is Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door? Again, you'd really be familiar with this growing up, being as old as we are with a Paper Mario game. But it actually it's a very pretty game, very cool art. Again, like someone like me who has no artistic skills, I love these games that have this sort of look. One of the best Paper Mario RPGs is back, and it's not just nostalgia talking. So let's talk about what makes the Thousand-Year Door a timeless classic. So you play as Mario, exploring a paper-crafted world while building a party and uncovering the secrets behind the Thousand-Year Door. So even on the original Switch, so if you do have an original Switch, right, it still looks good. It's got the same heart that the original Paper Mario games had. The remake preserves the original's charm while adding gorgeous updated graphics and quality of life improvements. So I've watched a few reviews of this. Again, like I said, I don't own this just yet, but I watched enough reviews and watched a lot of gameplay, because when the proverbial Nintendo Switch sale came around, I'm like, buy, not buy, buy, not buy. Yes, I really want to buy it. No, you shouldn't buy it. Because I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to spend $45 or $50 because these primary, what do you call that, developer titles, like what do you call it, first party titles, right? When these first party Nintendo Switch titles are out, right, they tend to not drop. Like on a sale for a first party Switch, I think the original Mario Odyssey only dropped to $20 like 5 years after it came out, when the original Switch launched way back in the day. So Nintendo does not discount their first party titles at all in any sort of amount of time. So it has a unique combat system. It's turn-based battles relying on timing and tactics, making every fight more interactive than your standard RPG. Think of Mario vs. Rabbids as well, Rabbids, which was a really cool turn-based game that I loved and I had great fun playing. It just got very difficult towards the end. Memorable companions. Each partner has their own personality and gameplay abilities that influence both combat and exploration. Again, similar to that game, similar to any sort of turn-based game where you make your party however you want to make it, right? And each combination of people will sort of make your party stronger or weaker or more difficult to play, depending what you want. I really need to think about that. Sometimes I just randomly make a party and it is horrible. Creative world design. So from wrestling rings to ghostful trains. Again, this is very typical of, I feel like, recent Mario games where the worlds are really, really expansive and different and beautiful. And like, I mean, that's one thing I will give Nintendo credit for, is that the environments in the Mario games that I've played the last few years since I got a Switch, they're just absolutely gorgeous to look at. And they're candy for the eyes, in a sense that you just love being there. Even if you suck at Mario games, which I do, which is why I will not play a platformer again, because I just keep dying all the time and I get very easily frustrated, as you would know from me talking on the show a few times. So, and the last thing is like, there are 2 Paper Mario games available at the moment, or modern Paper Mario games. this, I think, looking back at the reviews, is the one that people prefer the most. So if you are looking for a Paper Mario game on a Switch 1 or a Switch 2, and again, I will reiterate this, right? Nintendo said they are going to offer upgrades for all the Switch 2 games, all the original Switch games for the Switch 2. It's just going to take them time, right? Because there are thousands of games. This is, well, Nintendo is no Steam, but it is, they do have a lot of games, and they are, the development part of Nintendo Incorporated, whatever you want to call it, is not a huge number of people. And they're also working on new games, they're working on updates as well. So making updates for what I imagine this game probably didn't sell as well as like a mainline Mario game is not high on the list. So you could buy this today and you could play it a few months later. I would say going into 2026, all the first party title Nintendo games will have that Switch 2 upgrade with taking advantage of HDR, taking advantage of the 4K 60 slightly improved visuals. So that doesn't mean that because there isn't a remade version, or a remake is not one, there isn't an upgrade just yet that you shouldn't buy it. Keep an eye out for the Nintendo Switch summer sale and buy it there. You should get anywhere from a $10 to $15 discount if you're lucky, or you could just get it secondhand as well, which would also be nice. But yeah, if you played the Thousand Year Door, let us know down in the comments, and that'll be it.
I've never played one of the Paper Mario games.
I think the last 2 or 3 years, as I was describing, like I was like, oh my god, summer sale, Switch, let's have a look at it, and I want to buy it. And also there is a Taiwan Nintendo, card trading group where you can sort of trade cards with people and stuff. And I've always wanted to get one, but I'm not one of the first people like, okay, I'm done with this, who's next? And I always lose out to other people. So yeah, that is unfortunate. All right, so Adam, let's do your shorts first. Where is the question? Okay, so someone recently on Reddit posted, I'm starting to understand why people criticize the Stellar Blade. What do you think about that?
Well, looking at that particular comment, I mean, there are reasons to criticize any game, right? People have opinions, but looking at that particular comment, it kind of felt like a bit like a humble brag. Basically, they were saying that, oh, the game was too easy because I went out of my way to collect everything, and I leveled up all my skills, and I was able to beat the boss in 2 tries, so I can see the criticisms here. Yeah, that just sounds like you're just saying like, oh, I'm too good. Why are you guys struggling with this? So that did feel a bit like a humble brag. But also, I think it's kind of a weird thing to say because, yeah, in Stellar Blade, you do defeat enemies and you can get experience and you use experience to unlock your abilities. But a lot of abilities are locked behind story content, so you can't unlock them until you've reached a certain point in the story. And gear you find as you progress. So if you're fighting a boss with the gear that you've found that's designed to be found in that level, and you're using the abilities that are designed to be unlocked at that point in the game, it seems like a weird thing to say, oh, this, I'm over leveled for something. It seems like you're just, yeah, I don't know. It seemed like a weird complaint. There are plenty of reasons to complain, but that one just to me seemed a little off.
Sounds good. And I totally agree with what you said. All right, the next question is, tell us about a top-rated game that you're really disappointed by.
At the time, Final Fantasy X. I know a lot of people really like Final Fantasy X. If I went back and played it, I'd probably enjoy it a lot more now than I did when I first played it. But, coming off of the older Final Fantasies where you had an overworld map and you had an airship and that sort of thing, and, I felt like it was lacking quite a bit. And then also the voice acting kind of threw me off. I was used to having just the speech bubbles and I was able to read a character's voice in my own mind and whatnot. And so this was the first time it was voiced, and a lot of people are like, oh yeah, this is amazing, this is great. But yeah, that kind of threw me off too. So if I played it now, I think I would enjoy it a lot more than I did at the time. But I remember at the time, people are like, oh yeah, Final Fantasy X is so good. And me just being like, but it doesn't hold up to the older ones. Part of that might also have been just because Final Fantasy X is a jumping in point for a lot of people because it was the first Final Fantasy on the PS2. So for a lot of people, it was their first Final Fantasy. So that might have been why, you know, the expectations or our experiences were so different, because for them it's like, this is this cool, amazing new thing, and for me, I'm comparing it to old things. So it's harder for me to see it from that perspective. So you're muted.
Yes. Sorry, great. And sorry to run off today. Tell us what's happening for the next 2 months, summer-wise, maybe even into September, as far as streaming is going. What's happening there?
Yeah. My schedule is going to be a little bit weird. I've been trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the regular streaming. It doesn't always happen. You know, sometimes the cats need to go to the vet or something comes up, or, you know, or I have to be somewhere. But for the most part, that's what the schedule I was trying to stick to. We are now entering our summer arc. So I am going to be doing summer camp. Myself and another teacher are going to be alternating, but he is going to be taking off for 3 weeks in August. So early on, it's going to be a little more front loaded, where he's going to be doing more classes. So I should be able to stream maybe twice a week. But in August, I'm going to have to go, you know, since he's not going to be here, I'm going to be taking over all the summer classes. So in August, it looks like I will not be able to stream. And then, yeah, maybe a few other job opportunities coming at the end of summer. So we'll have to wait and see how that pans out to see what my schedule will be like once summer's over.
Okay, and this is more of a me question, but since we're on air anyway, what's happening video-wise for the next few months? I wanted to see, like, roughly speaking, what would you expect?
Working on my Doll's Nest video, so that should be, I just need to finish the end of the script for part 3 and then record that, and then I'll be editing that. And beyond that, yeah, I really don't know. I'm all, inspiration for videos is always one of my biggest struggles. So planning something down the line and saying, like, what are you doing next month? What are you doing the next month after that? What are you doing the next month after that? I have no idea, because I have no idea what video to even attempt after Doll's Nest. This is always a struggle for me. Inspiration is one of my biggest weaknesses. It's yeah. When I find it, I'm like, I'm all in. But when but until I have it, I'm like, I am completely just dust in the wind. So I do have the first half of it. I was originally planning on doing a video on Expedition 33. I have about the first half of the script done for that. But yeah, that game took off. That game became huge, and at a certain point it was like, oh man, by the time I get a video out, there's already going to be a billion other videos out. Is it really worth all the effort? And it's just going to get buried. But I don't know, maybe I'll come back and revisit that. But other than those 2 videos, I really have no idea what I'm going to be doing.
Death Stranding 2 for September, maybe?
Death Stranding 2 would be hard, just because there's going to be so much content on Death Stranding 2. It would just be buried under anything. I don't know what I could add to the conversation that hasn't already been said 28 times. Yeah, it would be, yeah, that would be a tough one to do. Plus, again, Death Stranding is another game that is super, super dense. So me even finishing the game by August is iffy. Me being able to sift through everything is extremely iffy. And I have some recorded content on it, but I have not been keeping up with it as well as I did with, say, Doll's Nest or Expedition 33. Expedition 33, I have documented everything in the story. I could release you a full video if I wanted to of just story content. You know, it's about 10 hours. But yeah, for Death Stranding, I'm definitely missing a few scenes and whatnot. That would be tough. That would be really, really hard to create something meaningful, I think.
As a Death Stranding off the table, Ghost of Yotei?
Ghost of Yotei is going to be another one that's going to be tough. Again, Ghost of Yotei, and then Ghost of Yotei comes out in October, and then at the end of October, I'm going back to America.
Yes,
so,
you're going. Yes, I thought Ghost of Yotei
so there's
would be
no
after Death
way,
Stranding.
there is no way I would be able to finish it in time for November. So again, that would have to be something for December or January, which
Okay,
at that
that
point
makes
the game's
sense.
already 2 or 3 months old.
So Ghost of Yotei is off the table. So what are you playing after Death Stranding 2?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe Coffee Talk.
What is Coffee Talk?
um, you can look it up. I think it's on Steam. It's definitely on PlayStation because that's where I have it. It's like this little game where you're like you own a cafe and they have these like
Ah,
demons and
yes,
stuff
I've
and they
seen
come in.
this.
So I was like, I've had it in my library forever, and I was like, I've been playing these really big games, and I'm gonna have this gap between this and Yote. Um, Also, Silent Hill comes out in September, uh,
Oh,
so I'm
yeah.
like, I need something short and sweet, and I think that would fill a nice little niche role there.
Did you
It's
do a Silent
yeah.
Hill video?
I suppose I could, but yeah, again, I don't know. That's one of that's one of the hard things about doing videos is like with Doll's Nest, it's not that bad because I'm just kind of doing a review kind of thing. I'm not really getting into the lore, which is pretty deep, and um, I'm not really touching on all that. So it's easier in the sense that I can write just what comes to my mind. I don't have to do a lot of research on it. It's easier in the sense that I don't really have to worry about recorded content. I can just kind of put some gameplay in there. I don't have to reference certain scenes or anything like that. Um, so that's a pretty easy thing to do. With something like if I was going to do a Death Stranding video or Ghost of Yotei, I'd probably be more inclined to go the same route I did with like say Stellar Blade, where I'd want to like really get
I
into the
figured
story
as
and stuff like
much.
that. And those are just so much more intensive. I think the original Stellar Blade, I think I released it like 3 months after the original game came out or something like that. It was not an immediate thing, and it did fairly well. It's doing much better now that the Stellar Blade is getting a re-release. I'm the Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding would definitely be in that same boat where um, they're going to, I'm sure, be relevant again in the future when they come to PC. But yeah, I don't know, because these videos take a long time, and like I said with the Expedition 33 video, I was originally planning on it. I recorded it. I have uh, over 60 hours of recorded footage, and then eventually like it got to the point where I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to finish this in time, and then I just kind of dropped it. And so it's kind of like, oh, like with these really dense and huge games, that's a real big risk where you're just kind of like, oh man, it's just going to take so long that if you're trying to release a video every month, it's just like, no, that's not sustainable when you have a job and a family.
Of course.
um
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, what about breaking up
if
the
I was like
videos?
single, or if I had, or if I was doing this for a living, I could do it, but I'm not, and I don't. So
No, no, I do. I totally get it. It's like I mean, even like trying to work on my own brand and personal channel, like doing one video a week is fine and great, but I've just realized like my own channel has to stop growing because I'm only doing one video a week, and I just don't. But the problem is I don't have time to do anything more than that. And going back to when we used to do Instagram and YouTube and Threads, and nope, no time for that now. It's just Instagram and YouTube for us. Um, so now I get it. So yeah, yeah. What about breaking up a video? Like instead of doing a 30-minute video about Club Skirt, doing three 10-minute parts, or three 7-minute parts.
I don't even know what I would do. My mind doesn't work that way.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no, this is one thing my mom always said when I was a kid. I struggled with my brain could not parse things. It's either all or nothing, and so I would
Oh
often
no,
get
no. You and I have
overwhelmed.
the same
Yeah, so
problem.
like if I was doing a school project and I would just like come home and I would just start crying and I would be so overwhelmed because she's like, well, just do this, and I'm like, but then I have to do this, like I struggle with parsing things out.
Oh, no, no. I'm the same way. Like I always tell the story. Like when I did my master's thesis in Ireland, my professor was like, "Yeah, you should start working on this 6 months before it's due," and I started working on it like I think a month before it was due. But I did a little bit of work, and then the last week I did it full on, like 12 hours a day, and that's the way I prefer. Like I want to do everything all at once and not separate things out because it just does. I have the same problem. I can't work on things in small bursts and then have it keep organized in my head.
Yeah, for me it would be like I could start it 6 months early, but then um yeah, but then I would still feel the same pressure I would if I had the week, because my mind is like, oh my god, I have to finish this. Um
Right.
yeah, and that's one thing that when I've made some of these longer videos like the Stellar Blade video and stuff like that, my wife sometimes gets on my case and she's like, that's all you do is you just work on this one thing, you know, you're like, and you never spend time with me. So yeah, so I do struggle with breaking with micromanaging, I guess. So it's all or nothing. It's like all my brain can
No,
do.
it's all good. It's all good. I mean, we are to grow this channel. We're doing the best we can, and that's all we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. Like, you've given me some information. I'm just gonna write down some rough things, and if they change, they change. That's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I
Um,
could do like maybe like if I was doing like Claire Obscure stuff, I suppose I could do like
I put Clear Obscure down for August
short stuff.
something. Something in August.
Yeah, no
So
promises. Yeah.
yeah, no, of course, no promises
But
at all. This is just so that I know, like, if I want to release something in August, then I know this is what it is.
yeah, no, like one of the issues that I was running into with the Claire Obscure thing is I was like, okay, well, like, because you even suggested it, you were like, okay, well, why don't you just because part of it was like, okay, I want to go into the story, but I also have some thoughts and like, you know, what does this mean and what could this mean and some theories and stuff, and you're like, why don't you just focus on that? And I'm like, yeah, but then if I do that, then like it doesn't make sense if you have no context, so I need to do the context, you know. And every time I tried to separate it, I would see my mind being like, oh no, I this doesn't make sense. I need to have this other part to reference to, you know, to reference back to this, and it all needs to be connected. So I was really struggling with doing that. So I ended up just being like,
Oh
it's
no,
gotta
no,
be one
I get
video.
it. It's like,
I can't.
I think even when Antoine is on it, you and Antoine are definitely of the same mind of when explaining something, right? You have to do it very wholesome or comprehensively. And I'm
Yeah.
very much of the thing. Like, I've seen videos where it's just like, hey, this is what it is. And you, like, if you don't have a background of this game's version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, you're not gonna understand anything. But that's a risk you take in sometimes making videos like that, where you're making it for the 1 million people. I guess in Clear Obscure is like 3 million people who played the game already.
Yeah. Well, like, because in this case, yeah, like, yeah, 3 million or something like that. Yeah. Like, for instance, I was like, oh, okay, you know, like this one particular thing is related to, okay, got this here. This
Oh no, no,
one.
I just stopped it for me because otherwise this is gonna be really hard to
Oh,
parse
okay.
through.
Yeah, so like for instance, there might be a certain quote or something that I'm like, oh, okay, if I'm saying like, oh, okay, this I believe this because of this thing this character said way back here, but it's like if I never showed you that quote earlier, you're gonna be like, what quote? And then I have to show you the quote, but then I have to like explain the context of why did that quote come up, and then it's like, well, now I'm just telling you the story again. So yeah.
I get it. I get it.
So it was easier for me just to tell the whole story, and then I could go back and make references. Yeah.
That makes sense, sir. Not a problem.
Yeah. It's like the Stellar Blade video, if you guys have seen the short about the feet.
Yes.
I mentioned
love
that earlier because I was like, okay, I'm going to talk about this later, so I want to make a reference to it. If I was just like, hey, look at these shoes, this looks like devil feet, it doesn't have the same impact.
Ooh. Okay. Going on what you just said, right? Would it be more reasonable to do a video every 2 months then?
I mean, obviously, it's longer time frames between videos is easier than the shorter time frame between videos.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think my style would change at all.
Then I'm gonna move the Clear Obscure to September.
Yeah.
September 7. I'll put it in the middle of September. September 17th. And then August, I will try and do something. What that is
Yeah, my only concern is the game will be so old by then. But who knows? Maybe people will visit it on its 33rd anniversary in 2058.
But I mean, like you know, we've seen with Stellar Blade and stuff. It's like these sort of videos generally, especially on the short side, drag in views continuously. And even if you make that long video, we could still promote it thereafter. And people love the shorts, and the shorts are going to promote the longs, and the longs will be like, oh my god, I want to play this game, and they play the game like, oh my god, now I want to watch the video again. And I'm sure we've done that with our Celebrate shorts.
Mm.
Okay, then that's easy. So then September, October, November. Okay, yeah, that works. Then I can fill in the gaps. At least then I know, like, okay, this is not going to be an Adam video month where we go full in on the Adam Gray personality.
Yeah. With summer too, like I said, with August, I'm going to be super busy. So again, I don't know how much time
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to have
exactly.
to
So
do
this
a video
also
for
then counts
September.
for the summertime. So you've got, if you can get Doll's Nest done in July, great. If not, that can be Doll's Nest in August.
I should be able to get Doll's Nest done pretty quickly. I just need to finish I just need to finish the part 3 script, record it, and then slap the video together. That one should not take long. I just need time to do it.
Correct. Okay, so we'll say Doll's Nest for sure. August, you're free. September, if possible. If not, what am I buying? I'm buying the Grand Bazaar game in September, so I can do a video about that. There's Outer Worlds October and November for me. And December, if we are inclined to make a video, we could. Nice. I love a plan, even if it's a very vague one.
Hate a plan. I do not follow them. I create them and they make no sense. And yeah.
Hey, this is coming from a teacher. We have had to do lesson plans for over a decade. How do you hate a plan?
I'll write a lesson plan and I will not follow it. It will not. You will, if you see me in class, it will not go the way I planned it.
I've watched one of your classes. Don't forget.
Yeah, they don't follow the lesson plan.
The problem is, it was in 2009, and I do not remember a single bit. I remember meeting Belinda for the first time, and I remember meeting you for the first time.
Yep. Yeah. No, my plans do not work out.
Okay.
What was it? Was it Patton who said, "Planning is everything. Plans mean nothing."
Oh. Is that where it comes from?
I think it's Patton. But yeah, that is my life. Planning is everything. Plans mean nothing.
A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan next week.
Nope, that is not the same quote.
Okay. All right. No.
Should be like planning is.
All I see is the good plan executed now violently is better than a perfect plan next week.
Let's see, planning is everything. Plans mean nothing. It might not be Patton. Might be a different one. Might be MacArthur or somebody. Let's see. Oh, sorry. It was Dwight D. Eisenhower. Plans are nothing. Planning is everything. I got the person wrong. Quote's right. Person was wrong. Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Eisenhower was what number president?
I don't know. I don't know which number he was.
We should stop talking about random stuff and say thank you guys for tuning in and listening to some of the planning going through for the next year. Despite, so you're still going to be able to do the Tuesday podcast.
Yeah, no, that was one thing, as I always say when they're like, oh, okay, we're going to do morning classes. I'm like, I can't do Tuesday. I can do any other day of the week, but I can't do Tuesday.
Okay, cool. So then, so no matter what, right, you will still get 3 videos.
I'll still be here.
Week.
Yeah, on
Adam
Tuesday.
will still be here. Yes. I think last year we lost you for a month, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Because they did, I think they were doing Monday, Tuesday, Thursday classes, but this year it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Nice. So yeah, we'll still have Adam. And then you can look out for a special video. It's on my list of things to do this year, which I'm going to try and do a longer video. Definitely not 55 minutes like Adam's Celebrate, but we'll try for like 20 minutes. For me.
I would love to make long videos. It's just, I don't know, life just keeps getting in the way, and then the videos get delayed, and it's kind of like, oh, this game's been out 3 months. I'm late to the party.
I have like Dragon Age Veilguard ideas that I want to do, but like every Sunday now I'm doing a video for me, trying to do the whole cozy gaming thing, and that's taking up time. And then yeah, time, and then Adam keeps bringing up the success in Instagram. I'm like, now I need to like, okay, I need to figure out an Instagram strategy for us because we are like, Jesus Christ, we had almost as many Instagram views as we had on our YouTube views in last month. Like just by like we were short by like 10,000. So we did like, dude, in a month between Instagram and YouTube for the two of us, middle-aged 40-something people, 600,000 people watched videos.
Instagram's where the youth go. Us old farts on Facebook and Line.
Yeah.
A lot of my students don't use a lot of the apps that I do, so I'm kind of like, oh, okay, they use Instagram. That is their everything app.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true. Hey, so summer class. Oh, we should probably say, okay. Thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you next week as usual.